What's up, Union Arena players? This is Kyle D, better known as Universities, and today we are covering Haven's Summer Showdown box event. So without further ado, let's dive in the video and talk about it. So guys, I'm excited to talk about Haven's Summer Showdown. This was a Union Arena box tournament, finished 36 total players, top 8 players. So they do have a Discord, but they also have a YouTube channel where they live streamed it, so where you guys can catch it, where they get to see all the major events, just enjoy matches and see where players are playing and how they built their deck, which is super important. And I like that they have like a post interview kind of shenanigans. I remember this used to be similar to one of my friends' kind of designs that they would use when they were live streaming and they're kind of just wanting to talk show host shenanigans. So it's just pretty cool to see like some, oh god, they could have took a couple seconds to do that change. I would have done that, but just taking a look at Mayori doing some shenanigans as well, I think it has some places and values. But again, if you want to catch it, it's GG Haven for it. But out of 36 players, the top 8 was 3 purple bleach, 1 purple code, 1 punch man yellow, 1 Jujutsu Kaisen, 1 code green, and bleach blue. So all good stuff across the board. Now let's take a look. Mayori taking a place is kind of unique to me. Basically written off as one of the weaker decks of the format, and just seeing it now, I mean, the reason for that, out of 50 triggers, 11 of them are what? No. 50 cards in their deck, 11 of them are non-triggers. Let me double check that. Yeah, 11 non-triggers in the deck, which is not actually bad. You know, 4, 11, not bad, especially because they do have some good abilities for their non-triggers. So yeah, I mean, I wouldn't go past 8 naturally, but 11's an okay sweet spot, so I kind of see where it's going. But again, this deck has a lot of surprise factors. A lot of players don't know what's going on with this deck until they realize that this thing can aggro rush you pretty quickly, and then when it does, your opponent just like, oh god. If they're especially early game, this thing comboed in with, you know, who gave you permission to yap, you know, sideline 1 corpse unit affinity card on your field. If you do draw a card, then play up to 2 blue characters with fulfilling the energy costs, required energy and AP for either Nemu or the corpse affiliate from your sideline. Set it to active on your field. Being able to do that, applying pressure like that, sometimes do matter. So, and then they do have a site that kind of just helps boost their characters up. So yeah, I think also having Mayori kind of give impact is really good. Lancelot, still doing Lancelot shenanigans, hasn't been able to evolve much because, again, they're waiting for July to kind of just get that final wave of support. Now, you do have none other than the interesting deck here. A lot of players are like hit or miss on how they want to build this deck in general, and I think, again, you're not in a bad spot. Keeping your non-trigger count low is the ideal situation. Being at 5 non-triggers, I can kind of get behind, right? Senjamaru is just a really powerful card. Again, this site is just stupidly good, especially if you have a lot of squad 0 and your non-squad 0 is at a lower count. You know, Ichigo takes in, and just being able to either swing in double damage or impact 1 is really good. You know, Senjamaru, just the ability to draw cards, especially with Royal Palace, is just what takes this deck to the next level. Just because, when you have the ability to keep gaining card tempo and momentum, your opponent is on a back foot when that happens, right? I know this for a fact because in card games, that's how you win more consistently, is by having the better draws. If you can do that, you're in a good spot. Now, again, here's another Senjamaru list. Senjamaru just basically being able to just remove threats by minusing DP. Choose up to 1 character with 2,500 less DP on your opponent's front line, sideline. You know, it's not a minusing effect, it's just targeted removal, which again gets around some of the problem childs of the format, like Saitama. Well, you can't do anything in Saitama. You're not hitting magic numbers on that. I mean, yeah, you could by discarding almost your whole hand. You start at 25, you can get there by discarding like 6 cards and then drawing 6 new cards. Likelihood of you decking out after that is pretty high, but I kind of don't understand why they're playing this Rukia. I get by you kind of just want to draw a discard a lot, but again, a lot of your deck focuses on just removal in general, so you're not gaining much tempo on that. And I get adding the Getsuga and the Bankai, but it's just very interesting to me. They're not playing the site itself, which to me feels wrong. You should be playing that site. Yeah, here's another one. So this one is purple Ichigo as well. You know, you got Ichibei, you know, Senjamaru, you got Ichigo for the damage. This is actually the list similar to what I'm proposing on Rumble Rama. You kind of will see that soon. But yeah, I think this has potential here. Now, again, Sukuna just being Sukuna, right? You know, you got a way of locking it. This deck's getting another wave of support at the end of this month, and it's going to be very scary for a lot of players to deal with. Sukuna being able to bounce, well, lock down, searching for the fingers is super quick. It's one of my decks I actually have max rarity next to purple bleach, and again, it's just a very powerful deck in general. Players have to be smart when playing against it. It's not a deck that, you know, very easily winning in formats. With the fact that Saitama has come down a bit, this deck can breathe a little bit better. You know, yellow Saitama is very scary for this matchup because you can't remove 10Ks, and if they're live or in some way, shape, or form just punishing you for having that 10K, you're not going to get those wins in with Sukuna that you really want to have. You know, that is super important at the end of the day. Now, yellow Saitama, well, no, it's Asper Sisters. Okay, so again, another great deck in my opinion. A lot of players, this is a 5-headed deck. This is a lot of, I need to know what I'm doing at all times, understand how my deck gets manipulated, how I'm stacking it, think about this, think about that. I think that's really what it comes down to, is a lot of players need to have this really good knowledge and holding up with their deck that a lot of players don't understand in general. But Hellish Blizzard, Terrible Tornadoes are always great. I think, again, they have a great site that they use in the Blizzard branch to kind of just keep all their characters big, beefy. And again, those make unfavorable trades, which players hate to do. Then you do have like their removals, their, you know, being able to lock something down. They use heroes that they can cycle. They have psychic power that basically, you know, chooses up to one character with 2,000 DP or less on your opponent's front line, sideline it. If Terrible Tornado, add 1,000 DP range for as any you may choose with this ability for each event in your sideline. So this thing can lock down bigger threats. Let Go just gives impact. Asper Sisters, just being able to look at the tops, just really powerful, being able to use Terrible Tornadoes shenanigans. This deck is as Yu-Gi-Oh as you kind of get, I feel, and I think a lot of people sleep on this deck if they're not really comfortable in playing. I think having 8 non-triggers in the deck is just really good. And now we do have Purple Code taking another W as well. The lowest non-trigger deck, basically you want to be at 4 or less at any given time, and this just proves it. You know, C2 being your 3 cost, you know, your 3 non-triggers in the deck. This thing has a lot going for it in the way that it should. You know, 0, C2, Collins, you know, Lelouch being able to choose up to 1 character on the field of gains, can't be blocked, can lead into these unfavorable traits, especially when you do a Gawain turn. If you do double Gawain and you had a Garen, means they're not going to be able to block perfectly, and that really punishes the play style. And I think a lot of players need to know just like what they're walking into in certain matchups, and Gawain is just one of those decks that just has a lot going for it in the right way. It does start falling off eventually because even in JP it falls off, but hopefully we'll see that sooner than later. I know a lot of players are like tired of seeing Gawain tops, but you know, it's pretty cool that we're seeing some change ups, you know, purple bleach coming in, You know, we're still seeing One Punch Man do some shenanigans. You know, blue bleach Mayori. Who would have expected that? And then you have like green Code Geass and blue Jujutsu Kaisen, we kind of know. So like these two are like the main big boy. Like these three have always been kind of in the format, right? But purple bleach kind of fell off for a bit, but it looks like they're getting back into the swing of things because, again, a deck that can draw more than your opponent is always better than not having the draw advantage. So I think, again, we're going to see a lot more change up into the format once people start realizing the Royal Palace, just being able to draw cards is super important, I think. And being that you only have so many non-squad zero cards in your deck, it matters, right? I think personally this would be how I would play my list. To be straight, I think this is just optimally the best version, just because you have the most triggers and not your only non-trigger is this Ichigo, and it still sucks when that thing is like 3 of them in your life and you're like, I have more triggers than this, please. Kind of strange to see Ichibei at 3, but I kind of get it. You don't want to see it in life the first hit unless you've already tossed something into the well, but yeah, I get it. At the end of the day, up to you how you want to deck build and design. So hopefully guys, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll catch you next one. Peace.